All right, welcome to GothCast. I'm Dr. Sanders.
And I'm just Bryan.
GothCast is also brought to you in part by the Belfry, which hosts a lot of different really great spooky content. It's a Belfry network. You can also find GothCast now on Spotify. If you're into Spotify, you might be listening to us on your Zune right now, thinking, oh, I wish I got something more convenient. I listen to everything on Spotify. Now you can listen to GothCast on Spotify. Of course, we're also available on iTunes. And of course, you can hit up any of our social media from Instagram to Facebook. It's all under GothCast. Or if you want to send us a direct email, you can do gothcastradio@gmail.com. And today, we have, without a doubt, no, actually, I guess the last episode would have been the quickest part 2 ever made. But for a band.
Yeah, for a band.
This is the quickest we've ever covered a band, part 2, seeing as how a majority of them are several years out from a part 2. But today we're going to be doing Clan of Xymox, part 2, because that episode did pretty well. And we were like, what's the point of putting it off if it's still fresh in our minds on those albums?
Yeah, let's just go for it.
Which makes a lot more sense to me in retrospect.
Well, hindsight is 2020.
Because now if we do Depeche Mode Part 2, I did that 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
with
hey,
a completely different co-host.
Yeah, I remember when I did that episode? No.
No, I listened to it.
Yeah.
From the comfort of my home.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what you're doing right now.
Nice.
Not you, Donnie, but you, our loyal listener. Yeah.
You right now listening.
That's weird. I don't know why that's weird, but it's weird.
Is it? Well, I think we just thoroughly creeped out a whole bunch of people. Anyway, today we're going to be continuing with Clan of Xymox. We're actually not reaching the end of this band's discography yet, which is funny because there's so many albums.
Yeah.
I guess we're hitting what would probably be considered the last main big albums with the band that most people think of.
Well, I mean, it's between this and the last episode, it's 8 albums. That's a pretty big chunk, unless you're Frank Zappa or somebody else who...
Christian Death.
Yeah, Christian Death.
Yeah, that has like They have a... Oh my gosh.
Well, like Frank Zappa did like 77 albums or something nuts like that.
I think Buckethead has something like... I think Buckethead has a record. It's like 300 or something. I don't know. It's some crazy amount. I think it's like 146 main albums or something.
Wow.
Last time I checked.
Yeah.
So who knows what it's at now. Anyway, so in the last episode, we got into the 90s, and we ended with Phoenix, and all of the main members of Clan of Xymox, the Anka and Peter, and they're out of there. And so we have what's going to be a shift in the sound. And it's going to have some elements of what we listened to last time. And I'll say right off the bat I don't know how you're going to feel, but in some way, I think the first albums we're going to talk about, the first 2 on this, are going to be a little rough. Like, just because of the particular sound that they went for at this time, I'm going to say I'm not as big a fan of it. So I'm very sorry if you're a fan of these first 2 albums.
Oh, man, I'm so glad you said that.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Okay.
Yeah, no, because I was listening to this, and I was just like, what is this?
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah. It is one of those things where, with this episode, if you don't like the negative episodes, I mean, we're still going to try and be positive with the elements that are good, but I'm just letting you know that we're covering Metamorphasis. What the heck was the other
Headclouds?
Metamorphasis, Headclouds, Hidden Faces, and Creatures. And if you just want to hear what albums are going to be good or what to start with in this episode, like if you don't want to hear like us just kind of talk,
picking them apart.
Yeah, I would recommend starting with Hidden Faces because that's where this starts to get really good again. I'm just letting you know for like your sanity's sake, if you just want to hear to where we get to this is like a totally hidden gem, and then kind of continue from there. So Hidden Faces and Creatures, you want to hear those particular albums, because I don't like starting off and making people think that it's just gonna be all negative.
Yeah, but I mean, there's definitely a lot of good stuff in here, just not first 2.
Not the first 2 albums we're talking about today. So I thought I would let you guys know that. So I would start with the 3rd and 4th album we're talking about today, which is gonna be Hidden Faces and Creatures. But anyway, let's get into Metamorphasis. So we have all the band members essentially besides Ronnie Moorings leave, and this is where we start to see the album credits like only listing Ronnie Moorings as It's like music. I think it's like they produced / music by Ronnie Mornings. Like if you look at the CDs and stuff, that's what it'll say. And I don't know what to say about this album. It's still,
I do. I know. I got plenty to say about this album.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ronnie found an early version of Dance EJ.
Yeah.
And put a bunch of loops in it and some break beats and some weird stuff and made an album.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
It is. I know that like I think, what do they call it? Like acid house or whatever. I don't know like the acid house scene, but it's basically just, he started making techno music.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. I mean, it's basically Clan of Xymox went from dark wave post-punk type music in the 80s with a lot of stuff that we really liked to the great sort of stuff on Twisted Shadows. And then some a little bit more like the 90s-ified stuff, like the Enigma sounding stuff with Phoenix. And then with Metamorphasis, we get it's techno.
Right off the bat. It does not ease you into it at all. It's just immediately you've got higher frequency drums for the first track, lots of loops, kind of a hip-hop techno beat.
Even the vocals and stuff, like he does like the almost hip hop type phrasing and stuff with the vocals.
Yeah.
And I don't like to say that it was a chore to listen to an album, but here's the thing is I knew going into this because I had heard, I'd obviously heard these albums before.
Yeah.
But actually having to sit down and like form a strong opinion on them, because I know with Hidden Faces and Creatures, like those are albums I've listened to a lot. Like it's probably the most familiar I am with Clan of Xymox. Oh my goodness, Metamorphosis was hard because a lot of it is really repetitive. You have so many just loops of the same kind of vocals, like that is like that sample of like the woman, whatever.
Oh gosh, yes,
it's just strange. So we have like sedated, like Groove is in the Heart. Like, you ever heard that song?
Oh yeah.
Groove is in the Heart.
D-Light, yeah,
the D-Light song.
Yeah,
just think that song, but like an album,
whole album of that, only it's less catchy.
Yeah, and you have a lot of strange synth sounds. It's very 90s, very dancey. And
the bottom end stripped out on a lot of stuff. Like all the lower frequency stuff, just like, whatever.
Well, you lose two things you lose in this album that really bum me out are you lose a lot of the like really good bass lines, like distinctive bass lines.
Yeah.
Like the rhythm section was so good. And even if it was like a lot of programmed drums, a lot of the drums here just sound the same. Like they're not distinctive at all. And then the bummer with this one is that you lose a lot of the guitar in this album.
Yeah.
It's just so much in favor of like the synth sounds. And with like Awakening, you have the synth sounds. And I swear to, it just reminds me of like a video game soundtrack.
Yeah.
For Awakening. I mean, I literally wrote, sounds like a PS1 game.
Yeah. Yeah, I had similar issues with track 5, Real. I think it's just Real.
Real? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I wrote that too. It reminds me of a video game or something.
Yeah, and then like the beats on track 5 didn't always line up. Like I noticed like the loops just seem to be a little off sometimes, and it drives me crazy.
Well, just even the mixing seemed really off to me. Man, we're just like slaughtering. I feel bad because we're just like slaughtering this album right now, but it is hard. Like it. Unless you're really into this kind of music, and people have 50-some episodes you can listen to me talk about music. I like guitar a lot, but, I do like a lot of the synth stuff, especially when you get into like Depeche Mode's version of stuff, or even like the way New Order does it. But here, it just, I don't know what it is. I mean, even though Ronnie's supposed to be familiar with synths and stuff, a lot of it was just weird. Like Real is a good example of like, on the previous albums we had a little bit more vocals pushed to the forefront.
Yeah.
A little more pop sensibility. It's almost like it was just totally lost, because in this song you have like bad mixing. The vocals are like ambient again.
Yep.
Like for the first album, but you have like dance beats. So it doesn't really work.
Yeah. There's a lot of problems in here with the construction of the songs, and I have to admit, like when I first started making music in a real way, it was actually with Dance EJ.
Yeah.
That was the first like program I used for like looping and creating beats and everything. And when I was first getting started, like I would just throw, that beat sounds good or whatever. Let's put that in 14 times for the drum beat, and let's use this one 3 times. You're like, before I really knew how to
I got 3.5 minutes
structure a song. Yeah, I mean, it just things were everywhere. They didn't really line up. There wasn't really a whole lot of logic behind it. It really feels like that to me. It feels like when I first started using, like, these days maybe Fruity Loops or something.
Yeah.
When I first started using, a looper program, like that's kind of what it feels like. Just like somebody's getting to know the software and the equipment they're using, and they haven't really got a hang of it yet.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I mean, and that's so weird to say.
But, because the other albums, they did it very well.
Yeah, and that's also what leads a lot of people to believe. This is kind of one of those things where a lot of people think that, how Ronnie Mooring claims, like, oh, well, I always wrote all the stuff. But on the first one where it was a very public split and, like, now he's credited as only Ronnie Mooring, you have a totally different sound. Like, it was really weird because we saw like an evolution more so than with the other albums. You could see it happen.
Yeah,
like you're like, oh, that's from there, and then they got more money, a little bit more there. Then okay, want like some hits, go there, and here it's just like such a dramatic jump. And actually, this album, we'll talk some more about the lyrics and stuff in a second, but this album actually kind of divided the fans really badly.
Yeah,
because it was so dramatic. It did okay, but it's definitely divided fans. It was like an old fan base and you have a new fan base. It's not like they really connected that much.
Sure.
And this is going to lead to some problems with the next album and a little bit of changes in the band, but it's not like this was something where back in the day everyone just got it, like, oh, like this ridiculous, whatever, like you guys are just nitpicking this thing, and everyone liked it back in the day. It's like, no, this is something that like there were fans of it because the sound was new at the time.
Yeah.
But like there was a lot of distinction between the new fans of it and then the older fans, and it causes some problems for the band and just with the next release. So, but yeah, let's nitpick some of this other stuff. You like how they have a song called XDD?
Actually, I gave up by the time I got to that song.
I can't blame you. It was pretty much the same.
Is that the last one on the album?
I said it feels like a lot of songs, repetitive and instrumental.
Yeah. Is that the last one on the album?
I think Love Me was the last one.
Man, I actually missed a couple songs. I didn't even realize until I was looking at my notes today that I was like, oh man, I didn't actually even finish this one.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, that's kind of the sort of album this is, unfortunately. I hate to say it because, man, like, think about the last episode, how many good songs there were. Like, yeah. And then you go, especially like, even with Phoenix, like, it has a lot of great like instrumentation stuff. This one's just so weird. The one that like everyone points out on this one is Tightrope Walker, which was like the one where everyone says, oh, okay, it's actually the only one that really sounds like a classic song somewhat.
Yeah.
But everything else is pretty much just, like this techno rave. And I'm really not kidding. Whenever it, like the sampling there's like a woman's voice on it. Like whenever you hear it, it just sounds so weird. Like there's not really like before there was a cohesive thing between the male and the female vocals.
Yep.
It's just gone. And I hate to say it. I don't want to just
bag on the album.
Yeah, I don't want to, but it is one of those things where it just did not cater to my sensibility. And like I said, if you want to hear something that's going to, just go like 2 more albums ahead.
So here's something that I noticed. There's a lot of different things in the album that sound kind of like other songs that were hits.
Yeah,
at the time, right? So like in my notes, I've got for Resolve, Contra meets CNC Music Factory.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's funny is that was one of the songs, like, removing ourselves from the Clan of Xymox thing. Yeah. Which we have to do with this album if you're going to try and compliment it. Like, right. The best songs on the album, I think, are Tightrope Walker, Resolve, and I think there was one more. Let's see if I wrote it. I think Awakening probably was what I would have considered it. Because Be Who You Want to Be has, like, some good stuff. Like, it's got some actual wah guitar and stuff. Yeah. Like, the chorus and stuff is good. But at times, like, it doesn't really mix very well with the instrumentation, which is a big problem with this album. But, like, Resolve, I could totally hear that. It had, like, a 90s cyberpunk kind of sound. Yep.
Very bouncy. Lots of bleeps and bloops in there.
Yeah. You can imagine, like, a computer hacker with, like, a mullet, like, doing it, you know?
I'm in.
I'm in.
Right now, all I can think about is time hacking.
Time hacking.
Yeah.
Oh, hacking so much time. Yeah. A little bit later than that, but it's imagine the 90s version of Hacker Man.
Yeah.
Then that would be a Resolve. This was just a tough one to listen to. I mean, you still have a lot of the same things that I complained about in the other episode, where it's like cheesy vocals for some of the songs. I mean, the fact that there's a song called "Be Who You Wanna Be," and it has
bees.
It's like the B's in it, or like a capital B. So B, like the letter B, like capital, just letter B, no E. Be who you, in a cap, like a U, just a U, wanna be. Like, so that kind of gives you, I think just that title kind of sums up this album.
It's very specific for the time that it was being released. I mean, so another one I reference here for Sedated, feels like Technotronic. Mm-hmm. Get your booty out of bed today.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of on the floor.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are other songs that are kind of similar a little bit to other stuff that's like really danceable, groovy music, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just couldn't get close enough.
I was trying. I gave us a lot of tries. I think unfortunately with, at least with Phoenix, you could look at that and say, oh, this is like a super 90s thing, but it's still like, you still had hooks, you still had things that kind of like, oh, it's kind of like cheesy, kind of get into it sort of stuff still. This one, I don't know what it is about the song structure, the mixing, whatever. It's just not that easy of a listen. And I know that there are some fans of this, like out there somewhere. I'm sure like if you pick apart one or two songs, it can be pretty good. But like as a whole, this album was just kind of repetitive, very similar sounding songs, and just, especially coming off of Twisted Shadows and Phoenix, it just doesn't compare.
Yeah.
Like, I just hate to say that, but
so we've heard which songs that you like. What are the ones where you're just like, this, like, listen to this song, this specific song, if you want to know exactly what we're talking about?
I
like Resolve also. One of the ones that I'm like, listen to this to kind of hear an example. Love Me, actually.
Oh, that's like,
come deliver pleasure to me. Yeah. That line just makes me die inside.
Yep. there's a line on the next album too that is sort of like that, but yeah, I would agree. I mean, that's the thing. That's really I think where this show is to our detriment sometimes with reviewing a whole album. Is like, I'm sure somebody could listen to one song and go, oh, it's not that bad. I would say try to sit down and listen to this entire album, and maybe to your thing. Like I said, this album had fans. It had fans. I don't know that it necessarily has nearly as many fans anymore. You can even look at like Discogs and stuff. The reviews are just across the board lower. Yeah. But this is also the first time we see, and at the time we're recording this album has no Wikipedia page.
Right. Yeah. None of the ones that we're doing today have a Wikipedia page.
Which is so sad.
Yeah. We don't want to make one because we want to give it a fair shot.
Yeah, exactly.
We want somebody else to write the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, exactly.
Just credit us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can talk. You can credit us. You can talk about anything you want that we talked about, and then make us an authority or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because they'll be like, oh, they said in this episode that they were having band issues, and then it was the first time he was on his own. They could quote me directly. That's pretty much all I'd say about Metamorphasis. I feel like I'm just droning on. That's weird. By the way, this is still under Xymox, and it's also released in 1992. I don't know if I said that initially, but...
So if I had to sum this up, I just say weird choice on the synth instruments used. The beats changed completely. The songs aren't as constructed as well as the previous albums. A lot of problems with it. I'm glad that Ronnie kept making music.
I am very glad he kept making music. I also want to say, I don't like the album cover for this.
I didn't even see it.
I don't
know what it is.
I don't like it. It looks like a knockoff of Some Girls Wander by Mistake. It looks like they was trying to knock off the Scissor Mercy thing. Although I think it might have been released first. But anyway, it's just, I didn't like it. So I just thought I would point that out too. Our critic right here. Anyway, that was Metamorphasis. Let's get on to Riggs.
Yeah.
And now it's time for random interesting goth stuff.
AKA Riggs.
I like it. Yes, sir, I like it. Okay, I got some stuff, but let's see. Brian got something here. What do you got, Brian?
Well, I saw a news article about this zoo in St. Louis, Missouri, or Missouri, that actually has a goth day. They have Goths at the zoo. And
when is it?
Apparently it's a day for all. It's like Bat Day for Disneyland, only for the zoo.
Nice.
Yeah. They have like special events and stuff going on for that day. Let me see what they got.
So you're saying that you could see creatures?
You could see creatures.
Like the Clan of Xymox album.
You could see that. This happens before we get into that.
I know it happens.
You just spoiled what the album name is.
I'm so sad.
Anyway, so I guess they're like making a big deal out of it.
Cool. So Missouri?
Yeah. So if you live in the western half of the United States, you're out of luck. But if you live in the eastern half, you might have a chance. Sunday, September 29th.
Oh, okay. So you got time.
Yeah, you have time. You have time to make arrangements.
What's the name of the zoo?
Request time off. It's the St. Louis Zoo, and right as of the recording, there's 3,600 people interested, and 263 people confirmed going on their Facebook page.
That's way better than my stats. Inside of other news, here's some music news for you guys. I always like reporting these kind of things. So first we have Corpus Delicti. They actually signed a deal with Cleopatra Records to release the back catalog. And I don't know if you know, but Cleopatra Records has been doing a really good job of releasing stuff through Bandcamp. That's actually where I bought that Rosetta Stone Adrenaline vinyl. Like,
really?
Literally through Cleopatra Records online through Bandcamp store. Literally Bandcamp. They have like every album, like tons of classic albums released on Bandcamp. So they're trying to release the Corpus Delicti's back catalog, which for a lot of people has been a bit of a struggle at times to kind of see and experience the same way that, or the best way that they can, because they did have their original albums and they had like upgraded re-releases. And then for some people, it's kind of hard to wade through some of that.
Sure.
So they're going to be remastered and reissued in a whole bunch of different formats. So hopefully, we get some Corpus Delicti vinyl, because that band came up in a time when that wasn't really the norm. It's a 90s band.
Right.
Primarily. So it'll be cool. And they said for the moment, this was in July, where they said, okay, stay tuned. It's like some of our stuff might be off of storefronts as we kind of ramp up for this other thing. They also said, last thing to be clear, there won't be any CD reunion. So no Corpus Delicti reunion, even though we are very asked often. The band broke up 23 years ago, and some of us are not into playing music anymore, but we have at heart to do what's best, what we can for the music to still be heard. And this is thanks to you and the wonderful feedback you gave us after all those years.
Nice.
So kind of going out with some style.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. Also, we do have some Mephisto Walls has been putting up like song samples, like, oh, here's like sample for the next album and stuff. Over the last few months, they've been doing that. Just put some more stuff up, and that's cool. And like, I'm glad that they're like making new music. It's great.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed.
Yes.
Indeed. I'm trying to think of other words to say other than yeah.
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 And the last story I want to talk about today was they're shooting that Invisible Man movie. Like they're redoing the Invisible Man. How they did Dracula Untold, they did The Mummy.
Man, you save a lot of money on visual effects for Invisible Man movies.
Oh my gosh, he's picking up something over there. I think he's running towards us. I can't believe it. I think he's doing backflips. But yeah, so one of the reasons this is a story is not just that they're making that movie, is that they just started filming it. Like just started like actually shooting the movie. Of course, it's going to be based off the H.G. Wells novel, and you're going to have Elizabeth Moss, from Mad Men.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be in it. I mean, that's the only person who I really know who's actually notable is going to be in it. But same kind of thing. Going to reinterpret the story and hopefully try to continue the Universal Dark. I think it's called the Dark Universe, Universal's Dark Universe thing. So they kind of botched it a little bit. I think Dracula Untold was supposed to be the first one, and that movie did so badly that they were like, oh no, actually it's The Mummy. You're like, never mind. Just that's cool.
Just forget that happened.
Yeah. So thought that was a cool bit of news. Also, the Addams Family's coming up.
What?
The Addams Family new movie's coming up. Oh, actually,
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
If you guys are interested, I'm sure that people listening to this are, there's going to be a new Invader Zim on Netflix.
Yes. That one I knew about.
It's a Florpus. Yeah.
Funny. I brought up Head Pigeons earlier.
Oh. Yeah, it's going to be released on August 16th. So, like, I think, like, right when...
Pretty close to
right,
releasing
yeah,
it.
2 days. 2 days before that actually gets released is when this episode will be released.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go watch it in 2 days. That's amazing that you're going to see some new Invaders in. That's been, like, production forever. And finally, of course, it gets picked up with Netflix. And like I say, what do
Netflix, yeah.
What do I say?
Netflix produces.
If Netflix gets their hand on it, then it's done. Like, you got it. So, thought that I would include all that. So, yeah.
Is that why Vasquez was okay to work on it? Was because it's a Netflix-owned property now?
I don't know. I don't think it started that way. I think when he started on the production of that, it wasn't going to be that. But I think they were going to do like some kind of Nick exclusive things. Like they were like, you have a little bit more leeway with it. But I don't know what the whole story is. I'll look into that. I'm going to do a review of the actual thing for the channel.
Right on.
Again, a lot of really cool stuff. I probably keep going on and on about like video stuff that's been coming out, but main stories are we got Goth at the Zoo if you're in Missouri. We got Invader Zim, Enter the Florpus. We got re-release music from Corpus Delicti. We got new music from Mephisto Walls, and we got The Invisible Man coming out, or starting production, not coming out, but 2020 is when it's supposed to come out, but starting production. So
yeah,
it's pretty good stories.
Can I plug an artist who's
yes, you can, Brian.
Whose great work I
plug
was
an artist.
reminded of recently?
Plug it.
The artist's name is Misha, Misha. That's important because their artists, their artwork is listed under the username Misanthrope, like misanthrope, only Misha.
Yeah,
right. Pretty clever. And what Misha does is a bunch of different kind of horror style artwork and like grotesque stuff. People with open wounds and bleeding and knives and all kinds of crazy stuff, but very much their own style.
Yeah,
of that.
It reminds me of the style reminds me of something, but I don't know what it is.
Anyway, Misha's a great artist, and check out her artwork. It's online. Just look up Misanthrope.
Misanthrope. How do you spell it?
Mishant horror e.
God, that was terrible.
Mishantthrope.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I get it?
Yeah.
Did I move on to the next round?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I'll allow it.
Yeah. I should have asked you to use it in a sentence.
Can you use misanthrope in a sentence?
I can't.
No,
I can't.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I can actually. Misha decided to make her username Misanthrope.
My God.
Yeah. Anyway, check out the artwork. Probably we'll end up having some of the artwork to give away on an article of clothing or something like that in the future. And by probably, I mean incredibly likely.
Yes.
But anyway, check out Misha's artwork.
Yeah, go do it. If you would like.
Yeah. No, do it. Do it anyway.
All right.
You don't like.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Okay, I will.
If you don't follow the instructions I give you, I'll never know.
So stern. All right, let's get back to Clan of Xymox. Or at this point, still Xymox.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Get back to it.
Okay.
So it's 1 year later.
1 year later.
And we have Headclouds.
We have Headclouds.
It's essentially part 2 of Metamorphasis.
Less problematic.
Than
Head Pigeons. Still a little problematic.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so this was... it's really weird. Like I said, initially this album did okay. Like I guess the first pressing of Headclouds or at least, Metamorphasis did somewhat well to warrant him doing another album that has a similar sound.
Yeah.
And I believe this time they had gone to an independent label. And so, it's kind of like you have a little bit more control and stuff. And this, techno music was kind of having a rise, but a lot of people see this as where there was a bigger split with the fans, where there's another album came out, Headclouds came out, and it was more of doubling down on the sound, and a lot more people were like, I'm not that into this.
Yeah.
And,
the original fan base is losing steam very quickly at this point.
I'm going to talk about some of that after we kind of discuss the actual music on the album. But yeah, this was essentially doubling down on techno sound. That rhymed. Doubling down on techno sound. Doubling down on techno sound. Xymox. All right. Done with this. So, we have the two main singles from this, and actually the opener to the album. One is Spiritual High. Again, very similar to Metamorphasis sound, very techno-y. Again, it's really weird how you have like a kind of the buried vocals in this song, where it's like the reverby, lower mixed vocals.
Yeah.
After they already had like more pop. It's always weird whenever somebody knows how to do a sound and then like fixes like an error, like, oh, the first album's like reverby vocals, whatever. It's like then reverts back to it.
Yeah.
While already switching the sound up dramatically.
Yeah.
Still.
I think for the whole album though, the mix sounds off.
It does.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. And just like you were saying, there was more timing issues. I think there's even more issues with that on this album. It feels like this stuff just doesn't go together as well. I don't know what it is. I think some of the ideas and stuff here are better. Like overall, like some of the riffs and some of the guitar stuff, and like I do think it's better than Metamorphosis.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say like actually there's a lot more that I appreciate about this one than the last one. Yeah,
but I still think like the mixing is just like way off.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, independent label. This is in the '90s. It was a lot harder to mix music. All right, what else do you think? What do you want? Which songs?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna start right off with Spiritual High.
Yeah,
number one.
Go.
I actually think Spiritual High kind of sounds like a mix of Metamorphosis and Twisted Shadows.
I think so, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Dancey, but dark,
Darker
still,
than last album, yeah.
Yeah, still a bit loopy,
mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things, too, that I have a problem with the last album and this album is just it's so obvious the loops that are used.
Yeah.
It's really, really, they don't just flow well into one another. But with this, it wasn't as bad.
Yeah. Well, in some instances, there's one specific one I want to talk about where I think the loops are just like, I don't even know if it's the loops or the way that they did it's just like, what?
Oh, is that Prophecy?
It's one of them, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, like Prophecy, I've got a big frowny face.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's still some problems with that. But, so Spiritual High, okay song.
Yeah. It was a single. We did watch the video for it as well.
It's a music video.
It's a music video. Yeah, it has a music video.
Yeah.
And
there's music in it and video in it.
It's mostly just stock footage and then Ronnie Mooring's standing in front of a green screen.
And he's got to be a vampire.
Yeah.
Cuz he's 20s or 30s probably, but he looks like maybe he's in high school still.
Yeah, well, that's the whole Ronnie Mooring's thing, and I think it's cuz he also never changed his hair ever.
Yeah.
Ever. He did have didn't he have the ponytail mullet in the original one?
Yeah. So he
cut the ponytail.
He cut the ponytail.
But he kept everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was immediately a lot better in that way. Again, you're just going to hear so much synth. So like It's Your Life, super synth heavy, but I am glad the guitar came back.
Oh yeah.
Like I was like, oh, thank goodness there are guitar tracks on here, even if the song itself is kind of repetitive. There's
too much repetition on the hook, I think, on that particular song.
Just trying to repeat the same hook over and over again.
Yeah. There's like kind of some metal industrial elements to the song, and I like that. And
yeah,
I definitely like the guitar. Not enough riffs.
There is not enough guitar on this album. I mean, just like I said, I have done bands where like they have a ton of synth, almost no guitar, but some people know how to use them and some people don't. And I don't think the strength of this album is being able to write hooks on synth. I think probably the best thing Clan of Xymox can do is layer like with the synths. Yeah. And then put a guitar riff over it. Yeah. Like that's what they do the best. But yeah. What do you think of the Wild as the Wind?
Kind of liked it.
Now, obviously that's a David Bowie song.
Yeah.
From, Station Station, famous album. I think it's 76. But yeah, like that's obviously a very distinctive album. One of my favorites. I really like that era of Bowie's music. And I think that's a really weird song to cover. And what's weird is this is kind of a straight cover for what this band was doing at the time. Yeah. Like it's a pretty expected cover for
it's not out there really.
No, it sticks out on the album as like, oh, like this is different. But it's also because it's a cover. But I still felt like the way that they mixed it and it just too much. Like, it just, I don't know what it is about it. I just couldn't nail it on the mix. Also, the
Yeah.
You
No,
know-
that's the part that's what I wrote. I couldn't read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The yeah in the song.
Yeah.
That I absolutely laughed out loud on that one.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really,
Yeah.
it's really, really, really bad. It does not work at all. But the synthesized, yeah. Like after every line he says, yeah.
Yeah. It's the same yeah too.
Yeah, it's that's the thing that gives it away, is that it's very obviously the same yeah every single time.
Yeah. For the oh man, for this song, that yeah definitely pulls me out of it. There are other parts of the song, like I don't know, like the instrument choices don't really necessarily work well together, but there are some aspects of it that actually remind me of the Black and White intro theme from the video game Black and White.
Oh yeah. The Peter Molyneux one. Yeah, that's right.
Every time I say yeah now, I'm gonna think of this song. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's prophecy. No,
God.
Wild as the Wind. And the vocal effect they used for the echo was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
God.
whole rest of the show, man.
God, it's so annoying. I can't like unannoy myself.
Yeah. I absolutely say yeah in response to you quite often.
Ugh.
It's true. That and for sure, which I'm trying.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Which I'm trying
sure.
to avoid. All right, so we'll see how many yeahs we have moving forward.
Well, now it's just so obvious.
Yeah.
You're just gonna ruin it.
I don't know, man. I don't know, because it's so unintentional for me. At least this time it'll be all different yeahs. It won't be the same one. I mean, unless you do some creative editing.
Actually, what do you think about the two songs like "Reaching Out" and "A Single Day"? Those both gave me kind of like an older Xymox feel.
Yeah.
Is it?
Five is a single day.
Mm-hmm.
Five.
The track 5.
Track 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a single day.
A single day. Great track. I shouldn't say great track. I think it's a pretty good track
For this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good track for this. Instruments work well together, but the vocals are a little muddy. They're too far back in the mix. I mean, that's a problem we have for
This
the
album.
album anyway.
Just
yeah.
the album. It's so funny because most lower budget albums, that's what they skimp on. But it's so much more obvious because we just had albums before, like, the albums before this were fixed it. So it's like way more obvious here whenever they're like not very good, like not recorded or mixed very well.
Correct.
I do like Single Day. I think that was one of the better songs on the album. And I think also Reaching Out, was that the next one?
Reaching Out is number 8.
Number 8. Yeah. That had this sound more like Phoenix, like the album Phoenix. And it, again, had like kind of rapping vocals, like where he's like, the phrasing is like, yeah, then like.
I kind of liked it for this particular song. There's some songs where I'm just like, yeah, it's really not working for me, but this particular one,
That's
it's a
why.
decent dance number.
That's sort of like why it's like Phoenix, because that album kind of worked in that way,
Right.
even though it was kind of ridiculous. But
Yes.
this Reaching Out does work. That might actually be my favorite 2 songs on the album, honestly. I mean, don't get me wrong, Spiritual High is good. And actually Reaching Out did have a video. Remember, we also watched a video for that. And what's so funny about the Reaching Out video is pretty much it's the same as the Spiritual High video, but because they both just use like copious amounts of stock footage and then just have Ronnie Mooring singing.
Right.
But he's just like being painted and singing Reaching Out. So I don't know. I guess they were right to go with it as a single. I mean, it's one of the few songs on the album that I would probably listen to outside of it.
Sure.
But man, it's just...
You know what's interesting is that in the past you've said you don't really think that some of the instrumentals pieces that they did really add to the album.
Yeah.
And I disagreed with you.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning is an instrumental piece. Absolutely didn't need that on the album. I would agree with you here if you're like, yeah, this kind of doesn't work for me.
Yeah, the beginning is just... Well, that was just... All it is, all the beginning is it's techno beats with random sound effects.
Correct.
That's it.
Here's the problem that I had with it. I actually started to get into it, right? And then there's the clips of the little kid singing.
Oh, yeah. What was up with that?
And I just kind of went, what?
What?
Like, that doesn't make any sense here. I don't know. And then it reminded me of Blade. It was like, little kids singing and then vampire killer with a sword. I don't know.
It was just like, it really was just techno beats with like random samples. Well, it's so funny because you also have Love Thrills. It's another instrumental. It just has a sampled woman's vocal. Like,
right. Yeah, and the pacing for the intro just feels so off. I don't know. There's just too much variance, like in between the low mix background and all the stuff in the front of the mix.
Mm-hmm.
It seriously sounds looped. That was the other one you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that absolutely
just sounds like a loop
stand out. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah. So Love Thrills, that again, it just has like almost everything I could think of. The problem with the album are like just in that. I mean, just, I get it. It's house music. It's trying to do techno house music, or whatever they call it, acid house. I get it. I totally get what they're going for, but it just sounds like none of it really is like done well. Like it's nothing sounds classic on here.
If it was released as a house music album by some other band, it would be in a bargain bin.
I agree. I hate to say it, but I agree. I respect Ronnie Mooring for going out and continuing music,
experimenting, seeing what works.
I think that this was just the wrong way to do it. And again, it split the fan base really largely. And I think a lot of those fans, especially the techno electronic, the more electronic fans, I think they kind of just, they're kind of on to the next thing. It's not like most of the fans just were kind of like, oh, okay, like that's a band that does it. And then probably, and especially in the 90s, a lot more electronic artists come out and they go and there's a lot more. You can go listen to Prodigy or something, like somebody who's like fully entrenched in that from like, that's it. That's the only way they create music. Whereas a lot of what people like was the gothic rock stuff. And I don't know. Is there anything else you want to note about that's like really funny on this? Because I have a little bit of history about when after this was released.
I kind of like January.
Yeah.
The last song. And the reason that I kind of like January is because it's just this weird, unsettling piece.
Just ambient, yeah.
It's extra weird that they use that piece as a closer for a bunch of dance pop music, right?
I don't know what they were thinking.
But that's kind of why I like it, is because it's just the weirdest closer to this album of
weird songs.
Yeah. And some of them, that absolutely not as bad as the last one, right? But there's definitely some things in there where it just, I can't say that I would listen to this album in its entirety ever again.
I don't know. I don't think I will ever.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense. Like I said, there's probably somebody out there who's like
really
wearing his Headclouds t-shirt, where he's like, oh. Then he turns to his friend who's wearing a Metamorphasis t-shirt.
Like, these guys are idiots. Yeah, that's okay. You know what? If you love it, great. Like, it doesn't hurt us at all.
Nope.
Love it and be happy with it.
Yep.
I'm glad that there are other people who are enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think overall, by the way, the album cover was better than Metamorphasis. It has like a little...
It's got a lizard on it.
Yeah, lizard.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's obviously better than the other one with no lizard.
That's so stupid.
Yeah. I don't know why they wouldn't put a lizard on a Metamorphasis.
Whoa. Wouldn't it be chameleon?
Well, I mean, it could be a caterpillar.
Whoa.
Yeah. What if
the Cure already took it?
What if we could just rewrite history and be like, Ronnie, skip these 2 albums. Just skip them.
That'd probably be a good idea. Anyway,
give me some history.
Here's some history. Here's what happened. So
lay it on me.
After Headclouds came out, there was some like weird label intervention stuff where like I think Headclouds came out, or there's like they were getting the singles released for Reaching Out or something, and they had this deal that was supposed to happen, and it was like where the independent label pulled the album, like pulled the single thinking that they could relaunch it later with a bigger backing and it would do better, and then like I think the single got pulled and then like it never got re-released or something, so it just like totally affected it. And anyway, they had already split the fan base, and when Headclouds came out, a lot more of the fans didn't come over. Like they were like, oh, like this is what you guys are doing now.
They heard a little bit. They're like, all right, well, you've moved on. We will also move on.
Yeah. And so in 1994, a year after this, they moved back to the Netherlands, And apparently, I was trying to find like some accounts of people who had seen him. Apparently, they were playing to as little as like 100 people.
Wow.
I mean, just like totally just back to being like a small gigging band. You know, lost 3 members and got some of the original members, some of the other people they worked with before to come in and do like live band stuff, but
guest set stuff.
Yeah, and it just kind of became like the bottom. Like, you know, as far I think about as low as you can go after that, especially with all the major label backing and all that stuff.
Right.
And there was actually supposed to be more songs released, some new singles. They actually weren't released on an album. They were released in a video game. I think it's called Total Mania or something like that. Anyway, it was Ronnie Mooring songs that were going to be on what was supposed to be like the third planned electronic Xymox album, and they got put into this video game instead. So you can boot up Windows 98 and play like an XCOM knockoff that's in German. Yeah.
You know, I would love to make some sort of witty comment about, oh yeah, now you're so low, your album release is being put into a video game in some foreign country or whatever. But my next music release will be in a video game. So I can't really talk that much trash because here I am.
There you are.
You know what game it is?
Transylvanian Trip?
I think it's going to be Transylvania Trip.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that someday.
Someday. Yeah.
Yeah. But
nice.
Yeah. That's I'm going to have some music.
Nice. I like it.
In that game. I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what happened with that. I mean, it just sucks. I mean, but it's one of those things where, you know, if you hear the material, it doesn't grip either one of us. I mean, I didn't Metamorphasis, I didn't want to listen to that album all the way through, but we do, like, you know, we listen to the album a lot. Yeah. Like, I listened to this thing like a ton.
I intended to listen to the whole thing because I always try and listen to the whole thing. I want to give it a shot, if not just once, more than once. And the next 2 I actually did listen to more than once.
Well, yeah, because they're amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't even finish it, which is odd for me because normally I'm like, I want to not only give it a fair shot, but I want to hear everything that they have to offer for that particular.
I think these fall into the worst thing I can ever say, and I've said this many times. The worst thing you can ever be is boring. Like, having music be boring. I think these firmly fit into the music. To me, is boring, and I hate to say that, especially with like what was before and actually what's coming after. So in just a second, we're gonna be covering something amazing, but the band went into hibernation, and then we'll talk about it at the next album. But that is Headclouds.
Sometimes you have to go through a period of garbage before you get back to the gold.
Yep. And this was it. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Donnie.
What would you do with some faces that you couldn't see? How would you describe those?
I would put them in a magic eye book.
But how would you classify them? What are 2 words you would use to describe those faces?
They would be hidden faces. That's the name of the magic eye book that I would put those faces in. It's also the name of the next album by Clan of Xymox.
Wait, you said Clan of Xymox?
Well, by Xymox, formerly Clan of Xymox, soon to be Clan of Xymox. Again, but now Clan of Xymox. Right?
Yep.
Now they're Clan of Xymox again.
Yeah, they're still.
Yeah.
Since this time.
I think you just said that.
Yes, since
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Before the music break, you literally said those things.
Yeah. Pretty close. Anyway.
So did I pass?
I would say you passed.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. High five. Let's go get some drinks.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna pina colada with no colada, and we can go drink it in the rain. I don't know where I'm going with any of this. Tell me about Hidden Faces.
So Hidden Faces. So what we had is obviously a real bad place for the last album coming off of Headclouds. And then there was a resurgence in industrial music. So 9 Inch Nails, Rammstein, like all that kind of stuff, especially in Germany. Ronnie Mooring saw this and was like, oh, I got a band that used to play goth music. And so it's a 3-year gap. And so from 1994 was really the last time they were heavily active.
Sure.
So 3 years in, I think some point in like 1996 or early 97, moves to Germany because all that music's starting to explode there. Releases album Hidden Faces and has a band that tours and plays we're talking about like goth music. Like, it's not ashamed to be associated with goth. The band members dress.
There's no mistaking it.
No. It's like, this is gothic rock. This is also when just like with the last two albums, we also start seeing the whole thing where it's hard to even know who's playing on the album. It's supposed to all be Ronnie Moorings. Like, it'll just say on the CDs, like, music by performed Ronnie Moorings.
But who knows?
Yeah. But technically, this is the band's like seventh album. Seventh, yeah. Seventh album. But as Clan of Xymox, it's the third. Because it'd be Clan of Xymox and Medusa were Clan of Xymox. That's what it was released under, the band name. And then this would be the third one. So technically, depending on how you look at it, this could be the third album we're talking about or the seventh.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
I count it as the seventh. But yeah, so we have a return to the name Clan of Xymox. Since this point, it's been Clan of Xymox. So just for like Twisted Shadows through Headclouds, it was Xymox. And it was really weird. So, Brian, what did you think of Hidden Faces?
There's a couple tracks on it where I'm not super into them, but I really like the album. It is a great album.
I like this album a lot. In fact, I really enjoy this album. It might be... I don't think might not be my favorite, but it's definitely top two of my favorite kind of Xymox releases. It's weird because it's almost like it had to do the other thing to like really realize like, oh, like we could just do like standard gothic rock with our own spin of our old stuff and everyone will love it. Like, right. And there's, just the opening track, Out of the Rain, one of the best songs they ever did. Like, in my opinion.
Great groove.
I got a great groove, great guitar, cool sound, like great vocals. Just, it's like one of those great, like, I wouldn't say it's like a goth anthem, but it's a really strong, like, if you're looking for just a song to look at, like, 90s goth rock, like, that's kind of what I would think of for it. It's just, I know it's late 90s, 97, but I think it's a great opener.
Agreed.
And it became one of their better known songs, actually. And it's off of this album from 1997. If you look up Clan of Xymox, I think like probably the most popular songs like A Day, Luis, and like the Out of the Rain. But I just love it. And it's a good kickoff to this album because the whole album has a lot of this kind of sound with a pretty active driving drum beat, like good guitar, vocals pushed very far forward in this one, much more so than the last releases. Yeah. And I just like the guitar a lot. I just love the return of the guitar.
It also pleases me.
Good. What'd you think of This World?
This World I wasn't as into as Out of the Rain. Yeah. Lots of different style elements, different effects, instruments, sound effects, not like pedal effects.
I like more of the acoustic part of the song. Yeah. That's what I like the most.
I think stuff starts getting too forward in the mix at some points where it's just kind of overpowers the rest of the music, but yeah, not a bad song, still pretty good. In fact, I don't think I'm looking at my notes here. I don't think I've got any on here where I'd say I don't really like this song.
No, it's funny in the way that I felt like we were kind of struggling to find good things to say about the last two releases. I think this one we're struggling. Like, I feel like I would struggle to say genuinely bad things about this album. Most of them are just kind of down to a lot of the same stuff I had for the other ones. Some of the lyrics kind of meh on them a little bit, and that's pretty much the main thing. There is a little bit of repetition that the songs kind of sound similar, but nowhere even near what the last album was. Right. Going Around 97. By the way, the reason it's called Going Around 97 is because the original Going Round was on the Subsequent Pleasures EP, like their very, very, very first release. Right. I actually like this one better. It reminds me, and this, I feel like the influence on the songs here is pretty obvious, that Nine Inch Nails and I really think like Ministry sound. Oh yeah. I totally think that was like a thing because the like distortion on the vocals sounds so much like the way Al Jorgensen did it. Like if you listen to Going Around, like it just, the feel of it, like the guitar sounds like that really dry, distorted guitar, the like
yeah.
that, you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's just the notes just, they don't echo. There's no reverb stuff. There's a lot of that on here, and I really like it. Going Around 97 is like such a great song. I loved it.
Yeah. I really like the style of the vocals in this. The synth feels like floaty and ethereal, and I really dig that. There's still loops in this, but they're actually really, really well executed.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's not a complaint, just an observation. Like, there are loops in here as an observation.
Yeah.
They're well executed.
Well, you don't even really notice them. That's the thing. Even if you do, it's just not the same where it was.
It's not, no.
It just works. Actually, one of the only songs which I'm just not so hot on, like I said, any song, like, the album is overall really good, but The Child in Me, like, it has good shimmering guitar and stuff. I don't know if it's the vocals or something, but I didn't like that song.
Really? I mean, it's definitely not one of the ones I like. Like, I like on the album. Not love, but like.
Yeah.
It did feel longer than 4.5 minutes. The length of the song is 4.5 minutes. It did feel longer than 4.5 minutes to me. I think it's still okay, but I think it's just okay.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most just mediocre songs on here, but yeah.
That's one of the worst songs, and it's still a pretty okay song.
Yeah. Wailing Wall, which is pretty much just an instrumental with some guy singing operatic.
Yeah, no, that's kind of an interesting tangential there that they went in that direction with it.
Yeah,
Bells,
it's just instrumental
and
operatic guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, does it need to be on there? I don't know, but I mean, it kind of works. It's All a Lie. This is kind of the ballad. Again, we're getting the layered synths.
Shit, hold on.
What?
Am I watching Stranger Things right now?
My hair?
No, because that song totally sounds like it belongs in Stranger Things.
It's All a Lie?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's a really good song. So I really like Stranger Things. That's my opinion on Stranger Things. Really like it.
I like Stranger Things too.
I like the soundtrack choices. I like
heard Stranger Things.
Yeah. I like the. I mean, this is no longer about Clan of Xymox. It's about Stranger Things.
It's about Stranger Things.
Yeah. So welcome to podcast number 53.
Stranger Things.
I'm just Bryan, and
it's crazy. We started this episode an hour into the podcast.
Yeah.
So
hidden gem for all of you. Anyway, point being, I really like Stranger Things and the original content, the original music that's been written specifically for Stranger Things for thematic emotional effect. And this could be in there. I really, really like it. I think it's very well done.
Yeah.
And it totally fits as a hit. There's a lot of feels in this one, I guess.
There is. And it's one of the cases where I feel like this album, I really feel like, plays to Ronnie's strength as a vocalist.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's one of the things that we've seen that's kind of been a struggle for some of the songs. But dang, they got it on this one.
Nailed it. Very well constructed, very catchy.
Yeah. Sing a Song. This is like one of the ones where I felt like it was a little cheesy because I just don't like the lyrics to this.
Yeah, I think the lyrics feel repetitive and they're kind of weak. I think this is the other one where I'd go like, yeah, I mean, it's an okay song.
Yeah, because the instrumentation, the guitar, all the stuff, the energy, like they're all into it. Like, but it's just the vocals. Like, this is the lyrics. It just is like, I don't like anything. I don't like songs that have the word song in it.
Sure.
Or like, come on, sing the song. Like, I just, no. Okay, just not into it. Not into it.
Yeah. I think it's just not as interesting as the other songs on the album. And that actually makes it even more difficult because there's so many things to like about the other songs that a song that's just kind of like, eh. Like, if you put this on one of the previous two albums, you'd be really happy about it.
That would have been amazing, yeah. Isn't that so funny how you can just change because it's just like the product is so different.
Yeah.
Hypocrite. This again sounds like a combination of 80s and 90s Ministry. I played this for you, the sample, the keyboard, the dun 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 dun. It sounds remarkably like Dear Mussolini by DAF. I was like, listening, I was like, man, that sounds like almost like a sample from Dear Mussolini, because the notes and the keyboard sound, the actual synth sound, it almost sounds like they must be using the same keyboard.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like, it's harder to hear in the mix. There are parts where you can hear the keyboard stronger, but like the it sounds like a slowed down version of Dear Mussolini, which is go do do dance dance do dance 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 dance. Like, God, that song's so good.
It's available on YouTube. Check it out. Look it up.
Yeah.
See what you think, because I think he's right.
Yeah, I heard it immediately, but the actual Hypocrite song, is really good. It's nice. It's aggressive. It's got a great keyboard riff. Like, that sounds so familiar. I just love it. I mean, this is the kind of stuff where I'm just like, dang, you guys really like started playing to your strengths in like just mixing the synth with the guitar and yes, it does sound a lot like the 80s and 90s Ministry, but I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
It just works. It's better than trying to sound like Prodigy or something for them.
Yeah. I mean, especially because if that was the goal for the last two albums, it didn't come anywhere close.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like Prodigy.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. They're great. I think they're good. I just don't think Clan of Xymox should try to beat them.
No, they should try to be Clan of Xymox for sure.
Then we have Special Friends. The name of the song is, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what a weird title.
Yeah, I mean that sounds to me like a child's euphemism for people who are sleeping together.
This was like one of the worst ones with the lyrics for me.
Yeah.
I felt like lyrics were totally not good. There's like a line, I think it says, "Have cake and eat and rest."
Yes.
How about the song called Piano Piece? That's a piano piece.
That's a piano piece. I loved it.
What was up with that?
I probably he just couldn't think of a good name for it.
Yeah, it's like, what's it called? A piano piece.
Yeah. This is my piano piece called
Piano Piece.
Piano piece.
I thought that was so funny. I was like, this is just a piano piece.
Is there a weird effect on that on the piano in that?
I think so. I mean, I don't know. It sounds pretty normal to me. I mean, they always have some effect on the thing.
Yeah,
it's like a pitch shifter or something.
I couldn't tell if that was. I was messing around with some new audio equipment at this point. I couldn't really tell if it was just because I was
thing set up.
Yeah. Anyway.
Your Vice. So the main part of the song, I have something to say about this. I guess I have something to say about everything, but
I'm about to hear a tricky rhyme, right?
No,
it's tricky.
Tree to rock around. This song was a little bit more like Phoenix in the main part of it, but my goodness, the synth, like the bridge pieces and the chorus, the synth for that, is freaking amazing.
It is.
It is like one of the best things on this whole album. There's like not even the entire song as a whole. I mean, it's a good song, but like those pieces, the synth bridge and the chorus piece, I don't know what it is about it. It just sounds so freaking amazing to my ears.
It's amazing. I wrote in all caps, "Whoa."
Yeah. I don't know how to even describe it, but I was just like, dang, like this, I listened to the song so many times and it was just because of those pieces. Like the rest of it sounds kind of like, again, an updated Hidden Faces version of like a song from Phoenix, like the main verse and chorus. But like when it busts into that bridge and that chorus, it is one of the best things they've ever done, in my opinion.
And I love the crunchy, dirty guitar sound.
Yeah. It just, that like so good.
Yeah.
Just so good.
If you listen to nothing else on the album, listen to this and November. That's my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
So Your Vice in November. Well,
Yeah.
November, again, it's a great instrumental. I love the harpsichord. You can just tell they're embracing the gothic rock thing in here. And yeah, with those two songs, that's like Out of the Rain, Your Vice, November. What?
Just shows you how bad at math I am. If you're going to listen to one song, listen to these two. Jesus, man. I'm having a rough day today.
Brian, you take 2 steps behind and 3 steps ahead. Wait, what?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean...
But you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the number thing, but yeah, like November is one of the best songs on here. It's a great instrumental. It has the harp, like kind of synthesized harpsichord, which I always love. Again, fake horn on there. Did you write that?
I didn't actually.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do, yeah. I do. Yeah, well, so here's a little bit of trivia. That horn sounds like a period horn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it
there we
actually
go.
sounds pretty close to the period horn.
Nice.
I
So
think
it's-
I just made all of that up.
So it's like the end of a sentence. That's where this horn is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the better alternate
Tip.
joke that you could have made
Yeah.
of the two.
The story ends. Great. This was a great closer for the album. The story ends. By the way, have a song called Piano Piece. That's a piano piece, and then the ending of the album is called The Story Ends.
Yep.
I thought that was funny. But it's one of the more acoustic songs in the album. But the thing about it, it's incredibly consistent with the rest of the album. And that is one thing I love about this album is that what we lacked in the last two releases and even some of the earlier releases, this album is incredibly consistent.
You get it back in spades.
It's just totally every single song on here, at minimum, really good.
Yeah.
And then it's just the problem. The things that are good are overshadowed by things that are freaking amazing.
Yes.
And this is one of those albums where, like I said, especially Out of the Rain is one of their most well-known songs, probably in the modern era. But in a way, this album almost feels a little bit underrated in terms of like, whenever people are looking up like great 90s goth rock albums, I feel like this one gets overlooked, and we're gonna be looking at Creatures, and I have some to say about that too.
Yeah.
But like, this album is incredibly consistent. It's one of the best albums I've looked at on this show, and it's so funny that it's the 7th album from Clan of Xymox. It's just
number 3.
Yeah. Sorry, it's the 3rd Clan of Xymox.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is par. You know, three is usually
that's what
where
they
you
figured out.
Yeah, you got all your stuff together.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. I mean, it with the band, it's even stranger because it's like with The Cure, you have a very good example of like, okay, like first 3 albums, or actually first 4, because I always forget about 3 Imaginary Boys, but like 17 Seconds, Pornography, and what's the other one? Faith. I always forget about Faith too. I forget a lot of. It's been a long time since I talk about The Cure. But you get those
52 episodes ago.
Yeah, 52, and I can't remember every single album, but those, like, you can hear like they improved really fast, right? So they fixed a lot of the issues almost immediately, and then you have like the Top, which is a lot of people like, but it's kind of different.
Yeah.
And then you have Head on the Door, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. It's like there's just a very, like, you see the rise.
Yes.
Like very, very vividly. Like it's like, oh, they improved that. The sound got better every single release. The songwriting got stronger almost every release. Like, it's just one of those things. And then it's very strange to see a band where you have pretty good, super great, really
arguably terrible,
arguably terrible, totally different genre, and then move into a lot of elements from their old stuff and update it to what it holds up almost better than anything they've ever done. And it's like the 7th album, and that's where Hidden Faces is. It's just in the weirdest spot for 1997. Like, you think about all the music that was popular then, this album to me totally sticks out. I mean, but it's still not really considered, I think, even close to what a classic status it should be, and that's really disappointing in a lot of ways. But it's one of those things where there's not a lot of music videos from the time. It's not as well documented. Does it even have a Wikipedia page?
No.
There's no Wikipedia page. So it's a bummer because this album is freaking amazing, and it's just totally ignored for the most part. Yeah.
Unfortunately. So skip the last 2. Listen to this one 3 times.
Yeah, there we go. I'll do it. It's funny because this is an album that I listened to anyway. Like, I already had this album. Yeah. And I was like, oh, like when we decided to do Clan of Xymox, like, dang, we got to wait 7 albums to get to this. But we got to it. And yeah, it's just really good.
It is a pleasure to listen to.
It's amazing. It's a hidden
beginning to
end.
A
hidden album, hidden faces,
hidden gem.
Hidden. But yeah, this kind of brought the band back into the limelight and really revitalized their career, honestly. And pretty much they've been going off of the momentum from this pretty much ever since then. They've been improving it and doing goth rock albums, and they just embraced it. And I like that they did that. And, you know, they got the whole band up there in like black, with the makeup, with the lipstick, with the instruments that look super goth, with just everything. I mean, I'm glad they embraced it because they were able to find something that works for them. But yeah, anyway, that's my rant on Hidden Faces and how good it is.
Who could argue with that?
Hidden Faces is on Spotify. So since a majority of our audience has Spotify, By the way, the podcast does really well in Finland on Spotify.
Weird.
So you should check us out on Spotify as well while you're listening to Clan of Xymox. Make sure to follow us on Spotify. But yeah, so go listen to it. I love this album. I want to share this album so much. Just like when we did Selected Scenes from the End of the World, and I think a lot of fans really took to my review of that as saying that album is totally underrated, like classic. I just, like, people know one or two songs from the album. This album so consistent and so good and so underrated. It doesn't even have a freaking Wikipedia page. Like, that's how unknown this stuff is. But anyway, go listen to Hidden Faces, pull up on your Spotify, go listen to it on your cassettes or whatever, however you're doing it right now.
Digidisc.
That's it.
Zune. I'm gonna put it on my Zune, man. Hey, Donnie.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, we've done this. We did this last week. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
This.
Creatures?
No, not Creatures. The Hey Brian, Hey Donnie back and forth.
We do it all the time.
Do we?
Yeah, almost every segment we say, "Hey," I say, "Hey, Brian," and you're like, "What?" And then I ask some stupid question. Brian, what would you call things? What would you call things that exist in the world that are living, and is also the name of the 1999 album from Xymox?
See, I needed that. I needed that extra
push.
Hint.
Oh,
yeah. I wasn't about to risk all of the beans on a guess if I wasn't as sure.
You weren't about to risk the beans on Guess Jeans?
Correct. Yeah.
So this is Creatures, the 1999 album.
It took too long, did I?
Took too long.
Yeah, right.
So this is the 1999 album by Clan of Xymox, the follow-up to Hidden Faces, which was their return and one of the greatest 1990s gothic rock album of all time, a momentous occasion. Am I hyping this up?
A little bit.
And this, again, I think is an amazing album.
I do too.
I absolutely love it. And in fact, if anything, it's even more underrated than Hidden Faces, because at least with Hidden Faces, you have Out of the Rain that's on there that everybody knows. This one, you maybe have Jasmine and Rose that people know, but it's just so good. So with Hidden Faces, they were doubling down. They were kind of adapting the old sound to the Clan of Xymox original sound. Like, so you have the evolution, you can kind of hear it, but
yeah,
with Creatures, you have an absolute, like, I think because you saw like, oh, like people are really digging the gothic rock thing. This is like almost a love letter to goth music. It is weird because Ronnie Mori singing almost becomes Andrew Eldridge from Sisters of Mercy. His style of singing like completely changes on this album.
It does. Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because I actually, through the album, I heard Andrew Eldritch. So hard to say for some reason.
Andrew Eldritch, yeah.
Andrew Eldritch, Peter Murphy, Robert Smith, David Bowie. I mean, like, I could hear bits and pieces of all of them on the album. Yeah.
The most obvious one, I mean, because the song that people are most familiar with probably off of here are Jasmine and Rose, is Jasmine and Rose. That's one song. It just literally people think that it's Sisters of Mercy. Like, it sounds so much like a Sisters of Mercy song that it's almost like the Sisters of Mercy released a new like single. Like, it's, which is so funny because as we know, Sisters of Mercy doesn't like release anything since like the early 90s. But this album, I just love this album so much. It has the lush instrumentation, the chorusy, like great processed guitars, the just amazing songwriting, and also like also for Jasmine Rose, did you hear like some mandolin on there? There's like this one part where I can't tell if it's like acoustic guitar or like a mandolin.
I'd have to hear it again.
There's like this one part that like I'm like, is that a mandolin? But anyway, it would be an amazing mandolin because this album is so good. I loved almost every song on this album. It's just, I think it's gonna be one of those things where I don't know if this actually got criticized at the time by, I think, a lot of elitists who were like, oh, they're just trudging up cliches of goth music. Because like I said, it sounds insanely like a Sisters of Mercy album and a lot of other different stuff mixed together. Like a perfect example is like Jasmine and Rose, Crucified, Taste of Medicine. Those, it just sound like Sisters of Mercy songs.
Yeah.
And I think it's beneficial for me because I love Sisters of Mercy. So it's great.
No, all of them really love the vocals on.
I mean,
particularly great bass on Crucified.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's another one where I think with this album they have like the perfect blend. Just like Hidden Faces, they have like the perfect blend of the gothic rock and the electronic sound.
Yeah.
And just so good. The one thing you will notice also on this album, for me, it was really obvious, is the vocals are pushed way higher.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like they got like compression technology and they were like, oh, we can just compress it and then like it'll always be in the forefront. That's how it feels like with Crucified. I feel like since we listen to most of the albums like in a similar time,
yeah,
it's way more obvious that like it stands out from the vocals more as like a pop sensibility to the vocal, like, presentation. And I still really liked it.
What do you think about Undermined?
Ooh, space. That intro? You know what I'm talking about? It's a strange song. I mean, I wrote ooh, space. Because of that intro.
Yeah, I mean, I like this song, but I think the vocal tremolo kind of messes it up for me.
That's one of the biggest problems with this is like I think the same with the last album. A lot of stuff that's okay is, it's like good, but it's I mean, compared to the other stuff, it just seems so much worse.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely nitpicking here, but
yeah, it is a strange song. It's plotting. It has a lot of different stuff. It's slower. Too many effects on it. It's just
his breathy H's kind of drive me a little crazy.
Yeah, that's probably one of the worst songs on here is Undermined. You have Consolation, which is like a power ballad.
I really liked it.
You did?
Yep.
No.
Good builds on it.
Yeah.
Good hooks.
Genius.
Yeah.
Well, Waterfront was actually another one which I thought was like pretty good. It was consistent.
Yeah. It's a sad factory.
Sad factory.
It's not a factory that is sad. It's a factory that makes sad.
Whoa. On the waterfront.
On the waterfront. Dark, industrial, dungeon music.
Hey, Brian, what's one of the things people will probably note about Waterfront?
What is it?
Is that it has basically just a riff from Closer in there.
Yeah.
Just that keyboard, the ending keyboard riff.
I like it.
It just bang, bang. That like long droning one.
Yeah.
It literally just has, it's just in the song.
Yeah.
I'm just 100%.
We just listened to it.
It's in the song.
You know what I like about the song?
What?
In addition to that part that they lifted on the other song that I like?
What?
No.
The chugging guitar.
Yeah. It's chugging guitar.
Yeah. I like no. I really like Creature. This is another one where like this is great instruments. The acoustic guitar, it was amazing. Just a great 90s like goth anthem ballad. I mean, it's just amazing.
Did you catch the little bit of We Will Rock You?
Yes, I absolutely 100% did. Yes. Yeah. I thought that. Yes.
Yep. I was like, We Will Rock You? No, it's a spell, actually.
Another one where they totally like had on the riff that sounded like another riff is for Without a Name, that like piano.
Crazy Train.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I totally heard it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. I wasn't crazy.
So I was hanging out with this friend of mine, and I had to stop what I was doing, pause the music, and say, hey, you have to listen to this. You have to listen to, like, what is this from? What? No. It's not that one. It's what's the one where he yells in the beginning?
Yep.
And just like Crazy Train. I'm like, that's it. Yes, it's Crazy Train.
That's it.
It's absolutely Crazy Train.
Yep, that was it. God, it's so ridiculous, but it works. It was I like the song, but it might be just because I like Crazy Train on piano.
Yeah, no.
But it was like the rest of it. I mean, okay, the rest of it is different, but it just reminds me of like the soundtrack to like a fantasy film.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, definitely feel like there's a building story there. You've got like good suspense within the music. I mean, it's really, really well done for an instrumental. And the more I listened to it, the more I liked it. There's also this game out called Return of Obra Dinn, which if you haven't seen it, it's not a goth game or whatever, but it's a good game in general if you like point and click kind of storytelling stuff.
Oh.
And some of the music reminded me of music from Return of the Obra Dinn, which I really enjoy. The song is super good, and Obra Dinn obviously was made later than 1999. So if anything, if anybody lifted something, it was them from this. But
so he copied Crazy Train, then Obra Dinn copied Without a Name.
Without a Name, yeah.
Whoa.
I don't know. There's bits and pieces. Don't sue me, whoever made that game. Actually, Obra Dinn, another interesting fact. I think originally it was made by one person. I think it was one of those games where just somebody it was a passion project or something at first.
Took like 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody was dead by the time they got back, except for a couple people, but you don't find that out until later on. Actually, you find that out in the beginning, but then you don't realize it until you find out later on.
No, I'm spoiling
It's a great story, man. Yeah. There's plenty of people to find out who died how.
Yeah.
That's the game. Go check it out. Anyway, back to Clan of Xymox, back to Creatures.
Well, last song on here was Doubts. And, that was one of the only songs. Well, that was one of the only other songs. It was Undermine. Was weird, but Doubts was one of the songs which I was kind of like, meh. I like the guitar. I like the idea of the guitar in it. I like what they were doing with it, but the actual execution of the song.
Oh, man. So this one grew on me the more I listened to it as well.
Did you have doubts?
I did at first. But by the end, I was rocking out. Yeah. The epic faded echo at the end. That's something I didn't mention. A lot of these songs here, there's like one or two notes at the end that just kind of like they throw in for effect. Like,
yeah.
Like, da 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 da. Like the part, right? Like that's the extra stuff they threw. Like you weren't expecting that. There's a bunch of that in this album where you're just like, oh yeah, there's like two closing notes that are just kind of there. Yeah.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, but anyway, scream organ in a spaceship on Doubts. That was my feeling. There's the weird kind of yelling vocal synth stuff going on. You're looking at me like I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I mean, I may not know what I'm talking about, but I would expect you to know what I'm talking about.
I'm just listening to you.
No, but this one really grew on me as well. And Donnie's not that into it, but
I was not into Doubts. I have my doubts about Doubts.
Yeah, I am super into it.
Anyway, well, that's the last track. There was less song. Well, as time went on, there was less songs, but they're way better quality.
Yeah. I
love this album so much. I swear, like these are a great pair of albums. Hidden Faces and Creatures. Just so good. In fact, I have right there.
Yeah.
Next to my bed is a Hidden Faces like promotional like thing. So it's so good. You should just go listen to it. Go if you like Sisters of Mercy, go listen to Creatures because it's the fourth Sisters of Mercy's album that was never released. There it is. After Vision Thing, there was Creatures by Clan of Xymox. You didn't know Andrew Eldritch went and made Creatures.
Clan of Xymox was actually just the name that
Andrew Eldritch
he decided to use.
Yeah, it was.
He went to Ronnie and he said, "Hey, do you mind if we just take this name for a minute?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, Sisters of Xymox."
And he's like, "Look, I gotta play some guitar," and they're like, "Done."
Bah.
Yeah,
there was it right there.
Yeah,
it's so good. I can't state how underrated these albums are.
You know what? We're probably gonna catch flack for not giving them their credit. It's being like, oh yeah, no, it's not Clan of Xymox. It's Sisters of Mercy.
Oh, because they feel like they take too much from these other things.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like we're not giving Ronnie credit for the albums at all.
Well, everybody knows it was Ronnie anyway.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
just in case you didn't know, it actually was Ronnie Moore.
It was. Yeah. No, all I'm getting at is that we saw not only like a return to prior form, but also improvements over time.
I think so.
Not just from, the stuff that we didn't really care for, but also from the previous stuff
that we did
Any integrated some of the stuff we didn't like into the stuff we did like, and now it's even better.
Yeah. I literally think that with these albums, it's the best Clan of Xymox ever. I mean, I'm like, when we come back to part 3 of Clan of Xymox at some point, whenever we revisit the band, we'll see like they kind of run with this, and at times maybe not quite as successfully as here, but like these in my mind are like the definitive 2 albums for Clan of Xymox, and it's probably sacrilege to a lot of people because like it doesn't have a day on it. Well, you know what does have a day? The live album from this time.
Oh,
so if a little bonus here is if you want to hear modern renditions like with this version of the band, I guess the time modern updated renditions and performances of the classic songs dating all the way back to their first albums and mixtures with the new stuff, you can get the live. It's literally a live album called Live from 2000. It's so great. Those are some of the best versions of the songs, and I recommend it because it's so good. It's just a live album called Live, released in 2000.
If you're unsure about investing in Clan of Xymox, that might be a good one to start with.
That's a great one because it has pretty much everything that you're going to want to hear anyway.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to be a casual listener. So yeah, I just totally recommend it. That's like I always turn people on the live album because it's a little bit easier than being like, hey, listen to these songs from these ones. And they all sound different, like different recordings and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll be like, here's that album. Like, listen to it. Sometimes I recommend it. I didn't even know I recommended it. But yeah, this was a great episode. I'm really glad we actually finally got to get these albums. And I guess we'll get back to Clan of Xymox when we can. This like really revitalized their career. I mean, they've pretty much been running off of this since then.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's great. Well, this has been episode 52. 2?
Man, I don't know anymore.
52, I think. I think it's 52. And I want to thank you for listening. Of course, you can go to GothCast.com, which has everything GothCast. Also have an Instagram, Facebook, of course, GothCast video on YouTube. We also have a podcast archive on YouTube. Basically, if you go to the website, GothCast.com, we have everything there.
Amino.
That's right. Yeah, I have Amino now. Amino invited me to be on there, and I created one. It says some little Amino content, something. I mean, we try to be out there in any way that anybody wants to access it. Yeah, we're also brought to you in part by the Belfry, and you can also listen to us on Spotify now, as we said earlier, and also iTunes, just everything. Yeah, if you want to interact with us in any way, you can also send us an email, gothcastradio@gmail.com. That has always been the email for GothCast. If you want to tell us anything, any comments, just send away in one of those forums, and it will get to us. And,
as if by magic.
Sometimes it seems like it. Anyway, this has been Clan of Xymox. Brian, do you have anything else you want to say?
Stay spooky.
Oh, you son of a... Stay spooky.